What's up, everyone? Mike here in the BFH garage. We're back at the shop now. It's time to do a post rollover damage assessment. This sucks. All right, so prior to pulling off the trailer, I'm just going to do a quick walk around so you can kind of get a idea of what all is going on here. So when you look at this thing from the side, you can see the hood took some major damage. The grill got bent up pretty good. You'll see that better on the other side. Some of this damage was already here. This stuff was already here. Yeah, I'm not so sure about this thing. So looking up at the windshield, you can see how that got bowed all the way in. The windshield's completely broken. The door doesn't fit there. You can see how the fit there, it's going to require a new windshield frame and all that, if it's even fixable. We'll see. We'll keep this thing on the road if I can. Backside there took some damage, and I just straightened that out previously before I was getting ready to put some corner armor on. That didn't happen yet, and now I'm wondering if it's going to. Moving around the backside, because I don't have the full family bar, roll bar in there, the top kind of bent on this backside here. I'll take a look at that. I'm curious to see how well the roll bar held up on that. It wasn't a very violent roll, but enough that maybe it caused it to bend. So we'll take a closer look at that. Corner damage back here. What else do we have? So that door actually closes okay still, so that's not too bad. You get up here and you can see that my fenders, which used to be flat, now look like those metal cloak fenders. So if anybody wants to buy these, you're more than welcome. Where the real damage is up here on the axle. When you look at the hood and the grill, you can see how all that is just bent. And because these fenders here are steel, all that momentum and everything is transferred right into the grill. Hopefully not the frame. We're going to see. But if you look closely in there, you can see where that grill bent in there pretty good, right over the steering box. But here's where it gets kind of interesting. When you get under here, actually, let me come back here first. So you can see how that driver's side tire is off camber pretty good. My inner C is bent. There's no doubt about that. So when you look at all that stuff in there, that's going to be all bent, and you'll get a better look at that once I get it up on the rack. But you're also going to notice that my track bar is cracked and bent in several places. And if you look at my heim on my track bar, you can see how that is offset a little bit from all of that landing on its side. So let's get this up on a rack. We'll take a closer look and see if it's something I can fix. And before you guys come in here and say, oh my God, time to go to tons, that's a completely different animal. I'd rather just part this thing out and start over than just all of a sudden go to tons for whatever reason. That's an entirely different animal, costs a lot more money. I would build for a different purpose. I love running 35s. It's a fun tire to run on the trails. You get into a lot of stuff and it makes it challenging. And I'm going to stick with that if I can. Let's get it up on the rack. So everything offloaded. I have it up on the rack a little bit. I want to get a little bit better look before I raise it all up in the air. A couple things I noticed that aren't looking good right now. So obviously the door frame, windshield frame and all that, but when you come to the backside body, you're going to see how the body moved inside that tailgate. So that's going to take some creative fixing if I'm going to do that. And I guess we'll see. The top's toast. It has a big old tear in the front, so that'll have to be replaced. I'm thinking if I do rebuild this, it is going to be a dedicated trail rig. I'm pretty much just not going to give a big crap. The problem is I use this thing to snow plow during the winter, so I'm going to have to get some sort of top, maybe a half top like I had last time. I'll have to just, custom make it to get around that roll bar since I changed that. So looking under here, a little bit closer, I should say, at the grill, you're going to see how that got all bent up. And when you look at it from this angle here, you can just see how, it's got like a smiley face, or a frowny face, I should say, and it's not liking life very much. A better picture of the windshield there, completely bowed in, windshield's all broken. So I want to look at under the hood real quick before I get it up in the air, just so I can kind of get an idea of what happened underneath there. I didn't want to raise the hood while I was out on the trail because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to get it shut again. and then trying to tow it home with all the wind, that would have created a problem. So let's get that up and take a quick look. I'm 99.9% positive that I broke my radiator. It's attached to the grill, and with the grill looking the way it is, it flexed that radiator. Had a little bit of fluid leaking, not much, but the problem was I had steam coming out of the radiator by the time I got off the trail. So I'm assuming that's going to be broken, which is unfortunate because that thing is virtually brand new. Things in here got a little bit tight as the fender got pushed in. I don't see any major damage. I looked at both motor mounts. Those are still good. The battery is still in its tray. Everything's good over there. So it looks like it was a shift of the fender over into the radiator, crushing the radiator, moving the inner fender with all this stuff on there. And if I pull off this steel fender here, then I'll be able to take that inner fender and bend it back up. That should actually be relatively easy since it's thin gauge metal. Whether or not I reuse this outer fender, I doubt it, but in fact, I highly doubt it, but who knows. Anyway, you know, I don't know until I get in there and start taking things apart how bad this is actually going to be. Right now, it's looking, it's not looking good by any stretch of imagination, but let's get it up in the air and take a look underneath, see if we see anything else. With this thing up in the air now, let's take a closer look. Before I go anywhere with this, I've had a bunch of people actually ask me, how did that 4340 tie rod that I just put on hold up? It's not supposed to bend, it should flex and then come back to straight. So the truth is on the level. Let's take a look here. No bend whatsoever. That is awesome. That's reflection, what you're seeing there. That is completely straight. So tie rod held up as expected, so that's good. At least have something salvageable. Again, you look at this tire, and I'm not sure if you can see the off-camera-ness there or not. Let's take a look at that track bar mount. That's one of the things that's going to have to get replaced. And if you look closely up here, you're going to see a crack right there. There's not even a crack, it's a full-on break right there. And then if you look at the heim joint, you see where the original dirt mark was going straight across. Now the heim's at an angle, just goes to show you. So when this axle got shifted this way, what happened was a track bar mount down there pulled on the frame side track bar mount, and that's what pulled that over. So, you know, there might be other damage up there somewhere that I'm not seeing. I still got to check the steering gear and all that stuff. But overall, I think that, you know, I pulled that fender off, put on a new grill. Good thing is I have plenty new grills that I can use. So, that'll work. And then, you know, checking everything else. I just want to make sure everything else is good. I was getting ready to rebuild my steering gear for hydro assist anyway. So what I'll probably do is utilize a different box and just rule that out altogether. So that will be fine. I just need to get a new front axle. I'm gonna have to swap over all my internals, locker and all that stuff. I want to make sure those Revolution shafts aren't bent. They shouldn't be, but who knows? You know, you got to take a look at all that kind of stuff. So everything else, I'm kind of curious on that knuckle there. I'll have to look at that and compare it to some other knuckles I have in the shop, see if that's bent at all. If not, I'll just change it out for another knuckles. That's easy enough. It's just that one has the tie rod flip in there. If I'm going to make Moab, here's the thing. Because I did the tie rod flip and I have these Black Magic brake brackets on here, I won't be able to use my anti-rock in the meantime because I don't think I'll have enough time to go through an axle, get it cleaned up the way I want and do all that. I think I'm going to try to go source a simple axle, use it for now, and then rebuild one that will go in there as a permanent replacement. So not sure how this is all going to work out. Stay tuned, and we'll just go from there. So the frame looked pretty good, but I did find one more piece of damage that I didn't catch before. And if you look at that body mount right there, you're going to see how it's split up top and it's offset a little bit. Now my body mounts, if you can see here, been getting the crap beat out of them for a while. So how much of that is from the accident? I'm sure that the front one is definitely, and I think that occurred when the fender got pushed in. It kind of tweaked that whole thing. But the rest of the body mounts are in good shape. So I really want to double check and make sure that the frame is good. It does look good to the eye, but I want to get some good measurements, see if I can figure anything out and make sure that it is in good shape before I continue on with this project. Something's not quite sitting right with me on this frame. I'm looking at it and I don't see any crease marks or anything in the side of the frame, but it just doesn't look right. So what I've done is I've set up a bar on the floor, made sure that's perfectly level, measured between the frame rails where the supports of the lift go, and those are only a slight bubble off, and that's just because the lift's old, but it'll give me a good idea of where I'm at as far as where the frame's at. If it's only off by 1/4 of an inch or something like that, I can live with that. So let me put this on a stand and I'm going to measure this real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, so I don't have to count for this box, I'm going to go right to the bottom of the frame rail on both sides. That'll give me, take out any bumper, bulge, or anything like that to make sure that I'm not accounting for things that shouldn't be there. So to the bottom of the frame on this side, we're at 70 3/4, 70 3/4. On passenger side, we're at 72.5. So that's pretty substantial. I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do with this, but this ain't looking good. Back out in the garage now, I decided to take a few days off. I just walked away from this thing, let the damage kind of sink into my mind on what actually happened, went back, reviewed the video. You play screw around, that's exactly what's gonna happen, and it's gonna cost you a lot of money to fix things. So I had a bunch of people asking about the roll bar and how that held up, so I pulled the top off. The top's destroyed. I pulled the top off to take a look at that, and I'll show you what happened there. And then I'm going to give you a little bit more of a walk around, reassessing everything to let you know, am I still going to try to salvage this into some sort of trail only rig. Prior to that, I would use this thing to putz around town, have fun with it. But if I do decide to rebuild it, it's going to be strictly trail use at this point. So now that it's back down on the ground, let's go take a look. You can clearly see from the front side here that lean that's going on there, and that's, like I said, that inner C, that wheel and everything's all jacked up. Top destroyed. You get a better look here at the windshield and the windshield frame. That'll kind of give you an idea of how bad that thing got tweaked in, and yeah, everything else is destroyed there. The windshield getting pushed back this way I thought was gonna create problems for the roll bar, but what happened was the windshield actually came down and it just kind of separated right here. But the roll bar actually stayed fully intact. I was absolutely surprised by that. So if you look up through here, you're gonna see how the windshield's bent down, so don't use that as your guide. But looking at the roll bar here, my B-post right here kind of goes in at a slight angle, and it does the same thing over there, and that's the way that was when it was installed. So the roll bar actually did its job and held up. Now, the one thing I do want to say is that one of my future projects, I was getting ready to install some stanchions and stuff here to beef up that roll bar a little bit. But for what I went through on that trail with the flop, is it held up fairly good. Now, if I was on a different trail that would have had more consequences, who knows? I doubt it. Seeing the way that windshield came in like that, who knows? So on my next build, I'll definitely reinforce that and get everything, fairly solid for me, so I'm not too concerned about it. So thinking about rebuilding this, I have a lot of concerns, and that's what's going to make me kind of lean towards a decision one way or the other. I have so many creases and crumple zones like right here and stuff that trying to get doors back on this thing is going to be just kind of a pain in the rear. Not impossible, but like I said before, I just straightened out this entire fender area. This is all crushed in now. I have a lot of separation here, so that's not an easy fix by any stretch of the imagination. And you could see looking down it this way how it's got this big old crease right there pushing in this way. And what that did is that caused this to overlap my CJ tailgate. So that kind of bent all that up a little bit. So I'm gonna take off the tailgate and see if the tailgate's damaged or if it's just the body. Right now it looks like it's just the body, which would be good news. I'd like to save the tailgate. Coming over here, all the creases and dings and dents and all that crap is just gonna be what it's gonna be. So overall, I think I could possibly salvage this. Now, I wanna be very clear on something. You guys saw the video when I pulled this into the shop. This thing sounded like a darn diesel coming in here. So I'm gonna fire it up right now and I wanna take a listen to that motor. And the thing is, my motor's been hit and miss with that sound anyway. So firing it up right now is gonna give me a good indicator on what condition that motor's in, because if I have to replace the motor, then it's not going to be worth it for me to rebuild this, because the cost of the motor will offset what I can get another Jeep for, transfer all my good parts over, and then sell off the rest. It just wouldn't be worth the time or effort to do it any other way. I'm not holding my breath by any stretch of the imagination, especially the way that thing sounded coming in, but let's fire this thing up now, and the truth is going to be what it's going to be. All right, fingers crossed. That is not a good sign. That is not a good sign at all. The good news is those who wanted the follow-up to the Seafoam, don't worry about it because it's not happening. Looks like I'm going to be stripping this thing down, parting out most of it, and I'll have to find myself another rig, which I'm kind of excited about because I get a fresh platform. I kind of beat the crap out of this one along the way, and there's a bunch of stuff I wish I had done prior to things getting bent and dinged up and whatnot, so that'll give me an option. So, all right, stay tuned.